Rafi was not a hero. He didn't wear a uniform. He didn't carry tools or weapons. He was just a quiet traveler from Earth who believed in learning. When he stepped off the silver transport ship and onto the soft soil of the planet Arsha, he didn't know what to expect. All he carried was a small bag, a notebook, and a heart full of curiosity. The sky above Arsha was wide and painted with pale color soft blues, pinks, and silver clouds that moved slowly like they were thinking. The air was calm, and the wind smelled like sweet leaves and fresh water. Trees grew tall and thin, their leaves making soft music when the wind passed through them. Rafi looked around, his brown eyes wide, and smiled quietly to himself. The people of Arsha, called the Sari, were tall with soft skin that glowed faintly in certain lights. They didn't speak loudly. Their voices were soft, their steps gentle, and their homes blended into the hills and trees like they had grown there naturally. The Sari didn't know much about Earth humans, and many of them had only heard stories. Some believed humans were loud and busy. Others thought they were clever but careless. When Rafi arrived, a few Sari stood in the distance and watched. They didn't speak to him. They didn't come close. But one of them, a young Sari girl named Nima, watched longer than the rest. Nima was quiet too. She didn't speak much with others in her village. She often walked alone by the river or sat under the tree that grew near the edge of the hills. When she saw Rafi looking at the trees with wonder, she noticed something different. He wasn't rushing. He wasn't trying to change anything. He was just looking, and he seemed happy to do that. The elders of the village gave Rafi a small house near the forest. It was simple, made of smooth wood, with a soft light that changed color with the time of day. Rafi thanked them with a deep bow, and he kept his voice low and respectful. Each day, he went out and explored a little. He wrote in his notebook, sometimes drew the trees or the birds he saw, and always returned before sunset. At first, no one spoke to him, but one morning, as he was helping gather water from the stream, Nima approached. She didn't say anything. She only handed him a smooth stone, a sign of welcome among the Sari. Rafi looked at it, then at her, and gave her a small smile. "Thank you," he said quietly. Nima didn't answer. She just nodded and walked away. That was how their friendship began, not with words, but with quiet actions. Over the next few days, Nima appeared more often. She didn't say much, but she showed Rafi small things, which berries were safe to eat, where the birds liked to sing in the morning, and how the river changed color after a light rain. Rafi never asked too many questions. He listened, he observed. He respected every silence. One evening, Nima brought him a fruit he had never seen before. It was soft and golden, and it smelled like honey. Rafi tasted it and smiled. "It's sweet," he said. Nima nodded. "It grows only when the sky is quiet." Rafi didn't understand at first, but he wrote it down in his notebook. Fruit grows when the sky is quiet, he wrote. He liked the way it sounded. As days passed, some of the Sari villagers began to notice. They saw that Rafi never took more than he needed. He didn't try to show off. He helped when asked and stayed silent when others talked. Slowly, a few started to nod at him in passing. One old Sari even shared a warm drink with him near the fire circle. But not everyone trusted him. A few of the elders whispered that humans were still too new to understand Arsha's ways. They said humans always wanted to build or change things. Rafi heard their words, but he didn't argue. Instead, he planted a small tree near his house and cared for it each morning. One night, as the stars filled the sky, Rafi sat outside and looked up. He could see Earth in the distance, a tiny light among many. He missed home a little, but he didn't feel lonely. This world was peaceful. It spoke without sound. Nima sat beside him, quiet as always. They looked at the stars together. After a long silence, Rafi turned to her and asked softly, "Why did you help me?" Nima didn't answer right away. She looked at the sky, then back at Rafi. "You listen," she said simply. Rafi smiled again. It was the best answer he could have hoped for. In that moment, under the soft light of distant stars, something small but special happened. Two beings from different worlds shared a silence that didn't feel empty. It felt full of trust, peace, and the beginning of something no one could name yet. And somewhere deep in the hills, the wind carried their stillness like a secret meant only for those who knew how to listen. Each day on Arsha felt a little softer than the last. The winds were gentle. The skies changed slowly from soft blue to pale lavender, like someone had painted them with calm hands. For Rafi, life here was very different from Earth. There were no busy streets, no loud machines, no rush. Everything on Arsha moved with purpose, but never with pressure. Rafi woke early each morning. He stepped outside his little house and looked at the sky. Sometimes it held to suns, other times clouds covered the light, and the land felt cool and fresh. Every day was different in small, beautiful ways. He started to enjoy this quiet rhythm. It helped him think clearly. It helped him feel peaceful inside. Rafi began helping around the village, even though some Saris still watched him from a distance. He didn't let it bother him. He swept the walking paths with a long, soft broom. He carried clean water from the river in clay pots. He helped an old Sari fix a broken fence near the garden. Rafi didn't speak much while working. He smiled, often, and moved carefully. His way was simple: offer help, wait quietly, and let trust grow slowly. Nima watched Rafi with silent interest. She saw how he greeted the birds when they landed near his house. He sometimes hummed songs to the little tree he planted. He never stepped on the flowers near the river, even by mistake. Nima liked these things about him. She didn't always understand them, but they made her feel calm when she was near him. One day, Nima invited Rafi to walk with her along a hidden trail. She didn't use words. She just stood near his house and waited. When he looked at her, she nodded and began walking. Rafi followed without asking questions. They walked quietly between tall trees with long, silver leaves. The leaves moved like they were listening. Birds above them chirped softly, then flew away in pairs. Nima led him to a small pond. The water was so clear that it reflected the sky. Like a mirror, small blue fish swam in circles, and strange flowers floated on the surface. Nima sat on a smooth stone near the water. Rafi sat beside her. For a while, they didn't speak. They just listened to the wind and the water. Then Nima broke the silence. "This place is old," she said. "My people used to come here for answers." Rafi nodded. "It feels special," he replied. Nima looked at him. "Do humans have places like this?" Rafi thought for a moment. "Some do. On Earth, there are quiet lakes and high mountains. But people are always busy. Not everyone notices them." Nima looked back at the water. "Maybe that is why you came here." Rafi smiled. Gently, he didn't say anything more. He didn't need to dot as days passed. Their walks continued. Sometimes they followed quiet rivers. Sometimes they watched stars appear slowly in the evening sky. Sometimes they didn't talk at all. Rafi began to learn little things about Nima. She liked the sound of the wind at night. She always looked at the moon before sleeping, and she hummed a soft tune when walking alone. Nima also learned about Rafi. He missed the rain from Earth. He wrote in his notebook every evening, and he loved drawing trees more than anything else. Their friendship grew without needing many words. It was built on shared silences, kind actions, and peaceful moments. The other Sari began to notice. Some were surprised, others were unsure. Why does she spend so much time with the human? They whispered. Nima didn't answer their questions. She didn't need to explain. One morning, something happened that changed everything. The village had a custom where every young Sari planted a memory stone near their home. This stone recorded small thoughts and feelings like a diary. But through quiet energy instead of words, only the Sari could activate the stones. Or so they believed. Rafi had seen these stones before. He thought they were beautiful, but he never touched one. That morning, as he helped a child place their new stone near the garden, something unusual happened. The stone lit up softly under his hand. A warm glow came from the center, like it was waking up. Everyone nearby froze. Sari didn't know what to say. "It's not supposed to do that," whispered one elder. Nima stepped forward. She looked at Rafi, then at the stone. She placed her hand near it, and the light gently faded. Later, the village elders met. They talked quietly behind closed doors. Rafi didn't try to listen. He just sat by the river, watching the water move slowly. That evening, Nima found him again. "They don't understand how you touched the stone," she said. "It has never happened before." Rafi looked at her. "I didn't mean to do anything wrong." "I know," she replied. "But they are afraid of new things." Rafi nodded. "So am I, sometimes." Nima sat beside him. After a while, she asked, "Why did you follow me on that first walk?" Rafi smiled. "Because you waited." Nima looked at the sky. Stars were beginning to appear. She didn't say anything more, but her smile was soft, and Rafi felt that everything was still okay between them. The next morning, Nima brought him a small woven gift. It was a simple band made of grass and sky thread. "For calm minds," she said. Rafi placed it around his wrist. "Thank you," he whispered. And so, in the middle of a world that didn't fully understand him, Rafi found one person who did. A quiet friendship had begun without noise, without plans, just two souls learning to trust. Slowly and gently. And that, in the world of Arsha, was more than enough. One cool morning, the wind on Arsha felt different. It moved faster, whispering through the trees like it had something important to say. Rafi stood outside his small house, watching the sky turn a soft silver. He noticed that even the birds were quieter than usual. Something was changing. Nima came to him early that day. She didn't bring fruit or sit by the pond like usual. Instead, she said softly, "Come with me. There's something I want to show you." Rafi didn't ask where they were going. He trusted Nima. He picked up his notebook, tied his small bag to his side, and followed her through the forest. They walked for a long time, climbing narrow paths and stepping over smooth stones. Trees grew tall and close together. Their silver leaves whispered above, as if watching the two of them pass below. The air felt cool and quiet. Finally, they reached a wide hill. At the top stood a strange and beautiful place, the Sky Temple. It looked like it had grown from the hill itself. The building was made of smooth white stone that shimmered like water in sunlight. Vines curled gently around its pillars. Soft lights floated near the walls without touching them. Rafi stood still, looking at it with wide eyes. "What is this place?" he asked. Nima answered in a soft voice. "The Sky Temple. It is very old, older than most of our villages. My people don't visit it often now. Only a few are allowed inside." "Why?" Rafi asked. "Because it holds something very special," Nima said. "The memory stone." Rafi looked at her with quiet curiosity. "Like the small ones near the houses?" Nima shook her head slowly. "No, this one is much bigger. It holds thoughts from long ago, from the very first Sari. The stone listens, and sometimes it speaks." They walked toward the entrance. The large doors were open. No one guarded the place. It was as if the temple itself decided who could enter and who could not. Inside, the air was cool and soft. The walls glowed gently. In the middle of the large round hall, there stood a tall crystal, shaped like a flame. It was the great memory stone. It pulsed with soft blue light. Tiny shapes moved inside it, like whispers frozen in glass. Nima stepped back and let Rafi move closer. He didn't touch it. He only stood near it and looked closely. The crystal gave off a soft sound like a quiet song with no words, and then something strange happened. The stone began to glow brighter. Rafi felt a warm breeze pass around him. The stone shimmered with colors he had never seen before. Shapes formed inside the crystal: stars, trees, rivers, and lights. He didn't understand them, but he felt calm. It was like the stone was not showing memories, but feelings. Nima's eyes widened. "It's responding to you," she whispered. "That has never happened with someone from another world." "I didn't do anything," Rafi said gently. "You listened," Nima replied. The stone gave one last soft glow, then returned to its gentle blue light. They sat near it for a while in silence. Then Nima looked at Rafi with quiet eyes. "Maybe this is why you came." Rafi thought about that. "I didn't plan anything. I only wanted to learn. The stone chooses who it shows memories to. Nima said, it doesn't care about plans. Rafi smiled. Then maybe I'm just lucky. Outside, the sky had turned golden. Light spilled through the doorway and danced across the floor. Before they left, Nima placed her hand on the stone and whispered something in her language. The crystal glowed softly again, as if it understood her. As they walked back to the village, Rafi noticed something had changed, not just in the temple, but in Nima too. She seemed more thoughtful. She kept looking at him, not with fear or surprise, but with quiet wonder. Later that evening, Rafi sat under the tree near his house, thinking. He drew the sky temple in his notebook. He tried to draw the shapes inside the crystal, but they were hard to describe. They weren't just pictures, they were feelings. Nima came and sat beside him, just like before. She didn't speak for a long time. Then she said, the elders may not understand what happened today. They follow the old ways. They might be afraid. Rafi nodded. I didn't mean to break any rules. I know, she said. But even quiet things can change big things. They watched the stars appear above them. One by one, little lights filled the sky. It felt like the world was listening again. Rafi asked softly, have you ever touched the great memory stone before? Nima shook her head. No, I was always afraid of it, but you brought me there. She looked at him. Because you're not afraid of listening. That night, Rafi thought deeply. He knew his visit to Arsha was not just about exploring a new world. Something more was happening, something peaceful but powerful. He didn't come to lead or teach. He came to understand, and maybe that was what made all the difference. The next morning, the villagers began to talk. Some were curious, some were unsure, but all of them had heard the same thing. The Sky Temple had spoken again, and it chose to speak to a human. After the visit to the Sky Temple, the village of Arsha slowly began to change. The story of Rafi and the great memory stone spread quickly. Some said the stone glowed because it had found a peaceful mind. Others believed it was a mistake. A human should not have been near such an ancient place. Many villagers were quiet. They watched Rafi from a distance. Some smiled politely, but others avoided his eyes. The calm rhythm of the village was now mixed with whispers and long looks. Rafi noticed the change. He still helped with daily tasks, still greeted everyone with kindness, but the silence around him felt different now. It wasn't the soft silence he loved, it was heavy, like a question no one wanted to ask out loud. One evening, Nima came to sit with him under the tall tree near his house. She looked thoughtful, her eyes soft but serious. The elders are speaking about the temple, she said quietly. Rafi looked up from his notebook. Are they angry? Nima shook her head. Not angry, but unsure. They do not understand why. The stone responded to you. Rafi nodded. I don't understand it either. They believe only a Sari can speak to the stone. Nima continued. It was not made for outsiders. Rafi closed his notebook slowly. I didn't mean to disturb anything. I know, Nima said. But sometimes, even peace can bring questions. That night, Rafi walked alone to the river. He watched the moonlight touch the surface of the water. The reflection moved gently, as if the river was breathing. He whispered to himself, maybe I should leave. But the river said nothing. It only continued to flow. The next morning, Rafi began packing his small bag. He folded his clothes, placed his notebook inside carefully, and looked around the little house that had become his home. The small tree he had planted was now taller, its leaves turning a light green. He touched its bark gently and smiled, just as he tied the last string on his bag. He heard soft footsteps. Nima stood at the doorway, watching him. You're leaving? She asked. Though she already knew, Rafi gave a quiet smile. I don't want to cause more trouble. Nima stepped forward. You're not the problem. Fear is. I don't want them to be afraid. Rafi said, this is their world. I was only a visitor. You are more than that, Nima replied. Her voice was calm, but there was a small sadness in her eyes. You listened. You learned. You walked gently. That is more than many who were born here. Rafi didn't say anything. The The silence between them was soft but full. Then Nima did something unexpected. She took his bag and placed it aside. "Not yet," she said. Rafi looked at her. "Why?" She didn't answer with words. She simply turned and began walking. Rafi followed. They walked through the village. People watched, but no one spoke. Nima led him past the gardens, past the gathering circle, and toward the elders' meeting place. The elders sat in a quiet circle under a tall roof made of woven vines and stones. They were old, wise, and deeply rooted in tradition. As Rafi stepped closer, they looked at him carefully. Nima stood beside him. She spoke first. Rafi did not ask for power. He did not seek attention. The great memory stone responded to him because he carries peace. Not noise, not pride, just peace. One elder, a man with silver lines across his face, replied softly. "But he is not one of us." "No," Nima said. "But he never tried to change us. He came to learn." Another elder, a woman with calm eyes, asked, "And what should we do with such a visitor?" "Let him stay," Nima said. "Let us listen to what the stone listened to." There was a long silence. The wind passed through the vines above. A few leaves floated down like quiet answers from the trees. Then the elder with silver lines spoke. "Again, sometimes the oldest ways must meet the newest steps. Perhaps we too should listen." Rafi stood quietly. He didn't try to speak. He only bowed his head with respect. The elders nodded slowly. "You may stay," one said. "You will be watched, but not with fear," said another. "We will learn together." Rafi felt something warm inside his heart. He looked at Nima, who gave him the softest smile. As they walked back through the village, something had changed again, but this time it was lighter. A few children waved at Rafi. A Sari man gave a slow nod. The air felt like spring after a long winter. That evening, Rafi sat by his tree. Nima joined him as always. The stars above were brighter than usual. "You didn't have to speak for me," Rafi said. "I didn't speak for you," Nima replied. "I spoke because of you." Rafi looked at the stars. "Do you think they believe me now?" "They don't have to believe everything," Nima said. "They only need to keep their hearts open." Rafi leaned back against the tree, listening to the night sounds. Somewhere far away, the sky temple stood quietly, holding its memories. And in the little village of Arsha, a quiet human was no longer just a visitor. He was a part of something greater now, something peaceful, something growing. The days on Arsha continued with quiet peace. The village returned to its gentle rhythm. People worked in the gardens, the birds sang in the trees, and soft wind moved through the valley. Rafi stayed busy each day helping the Sari, learning their ways and writing everything he saw in his notebook. The people now looked at him with softer eyes. He was not just a visitor anymore. He was one of them. But one evening, something unusual happened. A strange light began to spread across the sky. It was not bright or loud, but it shimmered in shades of blue and silver. Clouds moved slowly, and the air became cool, almost cold. The elders stepped out of their homes and looked at the sky in silence. Their faces were calm, but serious. "It is the blue rain," one elder whispered. Rafi stood next to Nima. He looked up. "What is the blue rain?" Nima replied softly. "It comes only once in many years. The sky becomes quiet, the stars shine lower, and rain falls with colors. It is not like normal rain. It touches the heart." "Is it dangerous?" Rafi asked. Nima shook her head. "Not dangerous, but it wakes memories. It stirs the past." Soon, a gentle rain began to fall. The drops were not clear. They were light blue, almost glowing, but in a soft, peaceful way. The rain didn't feel wet like earth rain. It felt warm, like a soft hand resting on the skin. The Sari stayed inside their homes. It was their tradition to remain quiet during the blue rain. They believed that this was the time when the planet whispered old thoughts. Listening was more important than speaking. But Rafi did not stay inside. He stepped out into the open and stood under the falling blue rain. He lifted his hands slowly and let the drops touch his skin. He closed his eyes. The rain felt like music, not loud, but deep inside his heart. his mind filled with peaceful images, floating stars, slow rivers, tall trees, and calm voices he didn't recognize. Nima watched him from her window. Rafi began walking, slowly, quietly, into the hills behind the village. Nima felt something inside her move. She didn't understand it, but she didn't wait. She followed him, her steps soft on the grass. The rain continued to fall. It painted the trees in shades of soft blue. Even the leaves seemed to shine. Rafi walked without looking back, but he knew Nima was behind him. They reached a high place, where the trees opened and the ground felt close to the sky. From there, they could see the whole valley below. The village lights looked like stars resting on the ground. Rafi turned to Nima. His voice was calm. It feels like the world is dreaming. Nima nodded. The rain is part of our memory. It returns to remind us. They stood there together, letting the rain fall around them. No thunder, no strong wind, just silence and light. Then something unexpected happened. The earth beneath their feet gave off a soft hum. It was not loud. It was deep and slow, like the voice of the planet itself. The ground glowed gently, and in front of them, a small round stone rose from the soil. It was smooth and bright blue, with a spiral pattern on its surface. Nima stepped closer. This is a sky stone. It only comes during true moments of peace. Rafi looked at it. What does it mean? It means the planet has heard you, she replied. Rafi bent down and touched the stone lightly. It felt warm and alive, like it carried a gentle heartbeat. His notebook lay open in his mind. But this moment couldn't be written. It could only be felt. Then the blue stone pulsed once, and a vision filled their minds. They saw many worlds, floating in space, connected by lines of light. Earth was one of them, so was Arsha, and many others too, glowing like tiny suns. The lines between them were not roads or machines, they were thoughts, emotions, hopes. In that moment, Rafi understood. Peace was not only silence, peace was connection. A quiet link between hearts, across stars, across time. The vision faded. The stone lowered back into the earth. The ground stopped glowing. Nima looked at Rafi. Her eyes were wide, but calm. You saw it too, he said. Yes, she whispered. They stood for a long time in silence. The blue rain slowly stopped. The sky returned to soft gray. The stars above blinked gently. Rafi looked over the valley. Will they believe us? They don't need to, Nima replied. The sky believed us. That is enough. They walked back together, their steps slow, their thoughts full. No one else in the village had left their homes. No one else had seen the stone or the vision. But that didn't matter. Later that night, Nima sat beside Rafi outside his house. The little tree he had planted now glowed faintly, touched by the blue rain. Its leaves moved gently in the quiet wind. Nima looked at Rafi and asked softly, Why? Did you walk into the rain? Rafi smiled. Because it felt like the world was calling. And why didn't you wait for me? She asked. He looked at her gently. I knew you would follow. They both smiled, and no more words were needed. Far above them, the stars continued to shine. The sky, now clear, held the memory of the rain. And in the heart of Arsha, two quiet souls sat side by side, held together by peace, trust, and something even deeper, something without a name. The morning after the blue rain was calm. The sky was clear, and the sun rose gently over the hills of Arsha. The village seemed peaceful again, but something had changed in the hearts of its people. The night's quiet vision of connected worlds had left a soft light inside many, even those who had not seen the stone or the vision themselves. Rafi woke early and walked to the village square. He saw some elders already gathered there. They spoke softly, their faces thoughtful. The elders were the keepers of Arsha's wisdom and tradition. They had watched the strange events with careful eyes. Nima was with them. She stood near the center, calm and steady, her hands folded. As Rafi approached, one of the elders, a tall woman with silver hair named Mira, looked at him kindly. Rafi, she said, we have heard what you and Nima saw last night. The memory stone and the blue rain have shown us a new way. Rafi bowed slightly. I'm honored, but I do not know if I can help. Mira smiled. You have already helped by listening and being patient. That is more than many do. The other elders nodded. Mira continued. We would like to see the vision you saw. If you are willing, can you share it with all of us? Rafi thought for a moment. He wasn't sure how to explain the vision of the worlds connected by light, but he remembered how the stone and the rain had spoken to him not with words, but with feelings. He closed his eyes and spoke slowly. Last night, the blue rain came, and the earth showed us a blue stone. When I touched it, I saw many worlds. They were not alone. They were connected by light, by hope, and by peace. It was a silent song that told me peace is not just quiet, it is connection between hearts. The elders listened carefully. Some looked surprised, but none dismissed his words. Mira asked, do you think this connection can help us? Rafi opened his eyes. I believe it can. If we listen to each other, if we respect our differences, then we can grow together. The village square filled with a soft wind that moved through the trees. The words felt like a gentle promise. Over the next days, the elders called meetings. They invited villagers to share their thoughts and fears. Many spoke about change with caution. Others spoke about hope and learning. Nima helped by translating feelings into calm words. Rafi helped by showing drawings of the connected worlds and the blue stone. Slowly, the people began to understand that this new idea was not a threat, but a gift. One evening, as the sun set, Mira called Rafi and Nima to the Sky Temple. The temple was peaceful, glowing softly in the last light. We want you both to plant a memory stone here, Mira said. A stone that will carry the story of the blue rain and the connected worlds. A stone that will remind us all to listen with open hearts. Rafi and Nima agreed. Together, they placed a small crystal stone at the center of the temple floor. As soon as the stone touched the ground, it glowed softly, just like the great memory stone. The light spread gently around the temple. Everyone inside felt calm and hopeful. The elders promised to protect the new stone and to teach others about the power of peace and connection. After the ceremony, Rafi and Nima walked outside. The stars were bright and many. The night air was soft and cool. Rafi looked at Nima and said, I never thought I could feel so welcome far from home. Nima smiled. You are part of our story now. They sat together under a tall tree. The small tree Rafi had planted near his house was growing strong, its leaves shining faintly in the moonlight. As they sat quietly, Nima whispered, Your silence brought more than words could. Rafi looked at her and replied, And your trust gave me courage. In the peaceful night, the friends from different worlds shared a quiet moment. They knew there was still much to learn, but they were ready. Together, they could help their people find new paths. The village of Arsha was no longer just a place of old stories. It was a place where new stories began, stories of peace, friendship, and hope. The village of Arsha was quiet under the bright stars. The soft wind moved through the trees and carried the gentle songs of night birds. Rafi and Nima often sat outside together, sharing the calm of the evening. They had become close friends, more than just companions on a journey. Their bond was made of quiet understanding, shared silences, and small acts of kindness. One night, after a long day of helping the villagers and tending the new memory stone in the Sky Temple, Rafi and Nima walked slowly toward the edge of the forest. The sky was clear and filled with stars. The two moons of Arsha glowed softly above them, casting silver light on the ground. Rafi looked at Nima with quiet curiosity. He had always wondered about her feelings, but had never asked directly. Nima, he said softly, why did you follow me on that first day? Why did you come close when others stayed away? Nima stopped and looked up at the stars. She took a deep breath. I followed you because, she began, her voice gentle but full of feeling. Then, without finishing her sentence, she stepped forward and hugged Rafi gently around his neck. Rafi was surprised but did not pull away. He held her quietly, understanding that some feelings need no words. They stood like that for a long moment under the night sky, wrapped in silence that spoke louder than any words. After she pulled back, Nima smiled softly. Sometimes, she said, The heart knows before the mind can say. Rafi smiled back. I'm glad you trusted me. Nima nodded. And I'm glad you listened. The next days were full of quiet joy. The village had accepted Rafi as one of their own. The memory stone in the sky temple continued to glow softly, reminding everyone of the peace and connection they shared. Rafi and Nima often walked together, exploring the forests, watching the stars, and dreaming of the many worlds connected by light and hope. One afternoon, as they sat by the clear pond near the village, Nima showed Rafi a small flower with petals that shimmered like glass. This flower, she explained, grows only where the earth is at peace. Rafi gently touched the flower and smiled. Then it belongs here. Nima looked at him and said, like you? They laughed quietly, knowing their friendship was as special and rare as the flower. One evening, the elders called a gathering. They wanted to honor the new understanding that had grown in the village. Mira, the elder who had first welcomed Rafi, spoke to the crowd. We have learned that peace grows from listening, trust, and open hearts, she said. Rafi, from Earth, showed us the power of quiet strength. The villagers cheered softly, not with loud voices, but with smiles and nods. Rafi bowed humbly. After the gathering, Nima and Rafi walked home under the soft glow of the moons. Do you think your people on Earth will ever know about this place? Nima asked. Rafi thought for a moment. Maybe. But even if they don't, it's enough that we know, that we carry this story. Nima smiled. Yes, some stories are meant for the heart, not for many voices. The night was peaceful. The stars shone bright. Two friends from different worlds shared a future filled with hope, kindness, and quiet strength. And somewhere deep in the sky, the memory stone glowed softly, holding their story, their peace, and their promise.